Good afternoon everybody and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Ollie and today we're going to be running through a quick guide to deleting lines out of Prima Cloud. Okay, any questions you do have, Mike's in live chat today, so feel free to ask away, or if you're watching it back, feel free to contact the team and we can help away. Okay, so as you can see on my screen now, I'm just into the SOP and order section in Prima, so into your sales order lookup in the system. Okay, and as you can see I've got a few different sales orders on screen with a few different statuses. So today we're going to run through at what point in the system it's allocated to an order, or it's kind of on a dispatch note, or whatever it may be, the different scenarios in the system and how to delete lines from those particular orders as well. So starting with the most simple one, if we go into an outstanding order, so if there's nothing linked to that order such as dispatch notes or purchase orders or whatever it may be, you can actually physically go into that order, highlight the item and hit the delete key on your keyboard, or the bin icon at the top of the screen. So into this sales order here, as you can see the item's here, I can hit the bin icon there at the top, which is delete, or I can use the delete key on my keyboard. If there's only one item or multiple items on an order that's outstanding and you're wanting to get rid of the lot, what you can do is use the archive button there at the top right as well. So you've got three options there, so delete key on your keyboard, archive top right, or the bin icon there at the top. So if I just hit delete there, are you sure? Yes, and then that'll delete that from that order then. Okay, so that's the first one, dead straightforward. The next one we'll run through is an item that is requested. So once you've actually authorised that outstanding order and it's then gone onto either the requirements list to be purchased, or if you've physically kind of built a purchase order that's not yet been pushed through, or purchased rather, then how to delete it from that status as well. So effectively in the system, to be able to delete it from that sales order, you've got to make sure the other records it's linked to is kind of updated as well. So what I mean by that is, if I go into the item here, what you have above the image is this links tab there. So click into the links, and then from there then you can see exactly what it's linked to. So this one in particular is only on the requirements list. If it was linked to a purchase order, then from here you would see outstanding purchase order, one of these lines within this section here, and then from there you can link into the purchase order and delete it from there. So as it's only in requirements, which is typically what it would be in that requested status, then same thing again, exactly the same, hit the bin icon or use the archive at the top, are you sure, and then remove that off then. Okay, and that's then archived. Okay, next one we'll run through the allocated. So if you've authorised an order and it's allocated from your stock, or if you've purchased something, booked it in and it's then allocated, this is then when the sales order is linked to some of the stock that you've got in either your warehouse or that's been booked in on that same day. Okay, so what you would need to do in this instance is go into the sales line, and something you do have here is just underneath the links tab you have this deallocate button. So what you're doing there is deallocating the stock from that order. So as an example, quantity of 1 is no longer responsible for this customer and this order number, so deallocate that, and the stock's then free to be used with another customer. And then that then puts it into requested status, so back onto your buying list for you then to make a decision, right, okay, I don't want to have it allocated from stock, I'm actually going to buy it, or in this instance I'm going to delete it from that order again. So same thing again, delete, hit yes, and that's then removed from that status as well. Okay, the order status we'll go on to next. So this one would be if you authorise your sales order, purchased it from requirements, and it's then gone through to that supplier. So same thing again, go into the item, into your links, and then from here then the links is really key in, I guess, deleting an item in a status that's not outstanding or requested or allocated, is actually finding out where it's up to. So as you can see here straight away, the records it's linked to is a receipt note and also a purchase order. So what we need to do in this instance is go from the kind of furthest along in the process, which would be the receipt or dispatch, go into that area, delete it from there, and then delete it from the purchase order afterwards. So it's basically going back on the steps rather than going through the process of sales, purchase, receipt, dispatch. So we'll go into that receipt note, and then from that receipt note then what you can do is same thing again, highlight the item, hit the bin icon, and that would remove it. One thing to bear in mind is, depending on your supplier and the preferences you've got set up, this shortage action here, if it's set to the return and reorder, then that then would, as it says on the tin, put the item into requirements to be reordered and also raise a supplier return. So that's typically for a shortage, whereas receipt later is the back orders one. So we do have a webinar specifically on that as well if you want to have a watch over that. But just to bear in mind, if you are wanting just to wipe it off, make sure it's receipt later in the system. So just hit the bin icon there, yes I'm sure, and then that's then removed off, and then I can just complete that because there's nothing else on it anyway, and get rid of that. And then that's one part of the process, and then what you would then need to do is just delete it from the corresponding purchase order as well. So go into that PO, via the links or via the POP and orders, whichever way you want to go into it. And then from here, then what you can do, so slightly different from the purchase order screen, so every other kind of screen in Prima is literally a case of highlight and delete. Reason being, you've got this extension tab, so it's basically linking in the sales area with the purchase area and also making sure that you don't want it for stock. So this first one here, as it says there, says sales, so the purchase order is linked to a sales order, which as you can see in this line info is, this is the customer, account code, sales order number, and all the information relating to that sale. So what I'm doing here by clicking into there and hitting delete, I'm breaking the link between the sales order and the purchase order as well. So that's then breaking that link. So effectively, if I left it as it is now, I can book that into stock, and that's then something with my stock and not associated to the sales order. But if I'm wanting to say, right, okay, my business doesn't want that item at all into stock or anything, you can just completely delete it. So a second deletion tells the system that you don't want it for stock either. So first deletion for sale, the link between the sales order and the purchase order, and the second one is for basically saying you don't want it for stock either. So sometimes it may be just one deletion if you're going to keep it in stock, or if it is going to be a case of just wipe it off altogether, then of course you can delete it then. And also, of course, if it is an EDI order, just make sure you cancel it with your supplier as well. Okay, as you can see, back into requested status, all I need to do then is hit delete, and then the same thing again, hit yes, and that's deleting it from that then. Okay, so that was the ordered, and last two, we've got the pick status. So this one, being it's picked onto a dispatch note. So all you would need to do in this instance is delete it from the dispatch note. So if I just go via the links into my dispatch note here, so enter that one. And there's only two dispatch notes there because I was testing earlier. So we go into this one here, hit the bin icon, remove it off, hit dispatch, just to tidy up because there's nothing else on it. And then from there, then what we can do, if I just refresh that, is then actually deallocate the stock from that. So it's put it back into the list in terms of it's allocated to our stock, and if we wanted to build a dispatch note again, we could do. But if I just deallocate that now, that's basically saying that this sales order doesn't want the stock, same process as before, and then we can then delete it. So we're just removing it off the dispatch note, deallocating the stock, and then removing it from that order as well. Okay. And last but not least is the part delivered. So if there's ever a scenario whereby you say to the customer, right, okay, quantity of 5 is what you're having, you deliver 2, that's what comes in, and they say, right, okay, actually I don't need the other 3 at all, then what you can do is once that 2's been delivered in the system, so once you've adjusted your dispatch note to say 2, you've hit dispatch, and then 3's gone back into the list, then from here, what you can actually do is, from this delivery details in the bottom section here, you can see in that scenario here, we've got quantity delivered 2, and the quantity should be 5 that's being delivered to the customer. If you wanted to, you can come into here, hit the bin icon, and then remove the kind of the quantity of 3 that's no longer required in there. So effectively, the quantity updated 2, and then from there, then the customer's only receiving 2 and being invoiced for 2 rather than the full 5 quantity as well. Okay, so that's everything for today's session. If you have any questions, feel free to ask away in the live chat, or if you're watching this back, feel free to get in touch with the team or email training@primasoftware.co.uk. But yeah, thanks for your time, and have a great weekend.